the fall.
Yo, congratulations, Series C.
Yeah.
How's it going?
Congratulations to us, to all of us, actually.
Yeah, no, really busy day today at the office. Like we've been cooking for these for the past like couple of weeks on getting everything up to speed. Really happy that we have it now shipped. We're able to share more about it. But yeah, Hendrik, how's life? How you doing?
Oh, I mean, I think it's been a little bit tiring for all of us in the team. We definitely had some strains, a lot going on, but we're here now. We're here today, and yeah, it feels amazing.
Yeah. Also, first time we're live streaming in a very long time. We normally do these in our Discord server, and this is the first time I would say like in months that we have come back going to live on X, going live on LinkedIn as well. So let us know y'all where you're joining from. Tell us like which countries, where are you using CodeRabbit, how's your experience with it. If it's working well, that's great. If it's not working great, also let us know. We'd love to hear things and how we can improve the product.
That's right. Yeah. I think we got a lot of interesting things to talk about today. So I thought, I mean, it would be interesting to span the arc between, what happened since Series B to Series C. And we can maybe start by looking into the blog post that we wrote last year, September, when we closed Series B. And then we can tell a little bit about the story, what we've done in the meantime, right?
Sure. I mean, little disclaimer from my side is I was not at CodeRabbit at that time. I did like get to know about CodeRabbit in September last year, though. I met you. I think like you were there at a hackathon in Shack 15 here in San Francisco. I met with Eric as well during that time. I think Eric, who is the head of DevRel here at CodeRabbit, was on his first week. I was on my first week at another company, and we came to like partner for that event. So first time hearing about CodeRabbit, and it was I was very surprised from the start on where CodeRabbit was at in terms of developers knowing about the company. And I think it's incredible to know how much the company has grown in just like a year.
Yeah, no, I agree. I completely agree. Let's take a look. I'm gonna start sharing my screen here, and we can take a look into what happened. There's a lot to tell for sure. So let's take a look here and see where it's gonna take us. So this was our Series B announcement, September 16, 2025. 60 million at the time. CodeRabbit was very much the leader in the space of code review at that time, and since then the company has really evolved. So yeah, maybe Juan, you can tell us a little bit how were you perceiving CodeRabbit back then?
It was very new. Like first of all, I was moved to San Francisco, so I was going through a lot of stuff at the time. But also, I think at the time, I couldn't really understand what was the need for like AI code reviews. And one of the things that CodeRabbit was probably doing at the time is like, like there was this proof of concept that code reviews was going to be a thing. For me, I think at the time we were thinking more of how can we improve like agents? How can agents do like more complex tasks? Model at the time were very different. I think probably like what had like Sonnet 3.6, maybe like 4 was already out. So models were still limited. I think we were like growing really quick in terms of what they could do. And at the time I was working for an open source project.
Yeah.
So one of the biggest challenges that we have was like not only managing our community, which was extremely massive. We had like 62,000 GitHub stars.
Yeah.
But also managing the contributions, the GitHub issues, Reddit, all of the different pieces that like come up with an open source project and responsibilities. So I was very surprised at the beginning. Like I didn't know how big code reviews was going to become. And I think now after this whole year, I'm like, it's very clear that is no longer like the problem, like shipping code. I think anyone, even like your grandma now with like things like Codex Live voice thing, they can just like ship now. But now it's about how do we manage those changes and how do we ensure that whatever we're shipping has like some quality?
Yeah, the value really. That's a good question. Yeah. Interesting times for me. It feels almost a little bit nostalgic, even though it's only been such a short amount of time if you think about it since then. I started 1st of October at CodeRabbit, so this is very much, kind of like I've been there from that point. It was, a very interesting time. It felt like code review, everybody was starting to feel the hype, but it was not quite there yet. I remember going to a lot of meetups at the time and talking to people, trying to still having to educate them why they need to, invest into a code review tool. when they were still just adopting coding agents. I know here in
Mhm.
Silicon Valley, we were all a little bit ahead and so on, right? But even then, people were still not completely convinced that AI coding was going to be a thing everywhere else, that I was going outside of the Bay Area. But back then, you see those numbers here, and I think those are very, very interesting if you take a look. Back then, CodeRabbit was already at 8,000 customers, 100,000 open source projects that we had installed, 13 million PRs reviewed, which is crazy, and 2 million repos. It's still today the most popular AI app on the GitHub App Store.
Yeah, I think like also super important to mention when you go and check these code review benchmarks, CodeRabbit being not on the top 3, considering we're kind of competing with people that own the platforms to perform these code reviews.
Yeah.
I think it's outstanding how much it has permeated into all the different places, how much it has permeated into developers' workflows, and now that we have support for open source communities, we have support for public repos. I think it's very clear that the impact that CodeRabbit is having in the velocity of shipping is for me probably one of the things that I'm the most interested on.
Yeah, that makes that makes total sense. So let's look a little bit at the journey that we had. I think we can maybe make the switch now and look at the blog post that we posted today, which talks a little bit about where we are here today, right? 143 million, 1.5 billion evaluation officially in Unicorn. Yeah.
Fast growth. It's crazy, right? Like if you think about like before AI, companies taking into Series C and having these valuations, it normally would take like 3 to 5 years at least.
Yeah.
CodeRabbit took what, like 2 years? So very rapid like growth, and I think very rapid move. On the other side, I think a lot of these, which we don't share too much about, is the perception that CodeRabbit has, or kind of like the ideas and the conversations that we have within the company very much align with things that we see happening like 1, 2, or 6 months in the future, right? When people talk about like loop engineering or context engineering and harness engineering, like those were things that I think at CodeRabbit we gave for granted, but still things that were like very relevant for developers. So I think a little bit of the combination of having like a great tool, but also knowing this direction and anticipating or trying to make big bets into what is going to be like the future struggles is what has landed CodeRabbit in where it is right now.
Yeah, talking about what has landed, right? If we click on this customer tab here, we can see where we are at in terms of like the people that we have acquired today that use the product. So very, very famous companies from NVIDIA to Indeed, BMW. Of course, for me with a German background, very proud to see that logo there.
I wonder like what would be a Mexican company here. Like I think we need to work in Latam a little bit like rougher or more deeply. Yeah, I'm just seeing like some comments here. So we have some people in chat joining already. Clement joining from like the CodeRabbit team. Tochi Onwuka so joining here as a UX engineer, and the one and only John Beckham joining from New York City.
Okay.
So some folks here in chat and joining the conversation. If you join a little bit like later, let us know where you're joining, or if you have any questions or any stories with CodeRabbit. What's your favorite poem CodeRabbit has added to one of your PRs? I don't know.
Oh, that's
there's so much. There's so much.
Yeah, there's so much going on. I remember very vividly going to a friend of mine who posted a company. I started a company here not too long ago, and I convinced them to try out CodeRabbit and got started. And I remember that Slack thread. I think it was really the poem that got them convinced to get started. Because funnily enough, because the story behind the poem, and I think Harjot tells that much better than I do. But it's the origin of the poem came from people not really being able to believe that and AI models were that good back in the day that they would be able to do something as complex as code review. Hence, it would be a different way to kind of prove them the value of the product by making it do something funny and interesting, like summarizing their pull request in a poem. And I don't recall the right poem that my friend had at the time, but it was something so accurate for the change that he was doing in so few lines.
Mhm.
It kind of blew him away, and he posted it all over the Slack channels, and they had a whole conversation going, all of them just sending them the poems of their different PRs when they're requesting for a review.
Mm.
So it certainly brought us a lot of user love, I think.
Next product is going to be just like Anthropic and all of these like companies have their books. We're going to publish our own like compilation of poems from CodeRabbit to the world.
Yeah.
I want to talk about some customers here that you were sharing. The NVIDIA use case is really interesting for me, and it's a demo that I run just because CodeRabbit is being used, but like in internal repositories and in public repos. And they're very like there's this very particular PR. I can probably look at it that I love showing to people. Okay, I got it here. About how oh no system settings.
Oh,
I need to restart my whole thing.
no. Okay.
Hopefully not. We'll see. Okay, yes, I need to restart it. I'll restart my browser.
Yeah.
But essentially it tells like a little bit of like how NVIDIA is using it, because they also have like a ton of open source repo. I don't know if you've seen their frameworks for AI. They have a ton of like pre, during, and like post training open source frameworks that we have used. We used them for earlier this week. We published a story about Bayesian and how we're using these frameworks to post train models like Nematron 3.5. And it's great to see, like, I'm always happy to see like repos and projects that I use, and then I'm like, oh, they're using like CodeRabbit. This is like pretty rad.
Yeah.
And some of these companies you were mentioning, right, like BMW, massive companies that have done incredible investments into improving their software. I think like being able to be part of that story is super valuable.
BMW, for example, was one of the earliest users of CodeRabbit.
You chat with them, right? Like you're part of those conversations or something. I recall.
I do have an open bet with them for a case study that I'm supposed to do with one of their. I haven't made it back yet to Germany, but eventually I will, and I'll get it on there. Be interesting if you want to. Otherwise, I can also share. We can talk a little bit, for example, about the things that we're going to do with with the funding now, the new products that we've launched. Maybe be interesting to go a little bit for that as well.
Mm-hmm. Do you want to like get us just like started?
Yeah,
this piece.
Let's do that. So there's a lot that's been happening with CodeRabbit. A lot of things that we've been cooking. People who've read the blog article that we posted today or have been following the journey over the last couple months as well, they kind of know that we are now talking about more than just code review. We're calling this term agentic change management, which is a category that we are pioneering to help everybody who is now in the PRs, in the code, truly understand what blast radius the changes are having that they are introducing into their code bases, and also potentially should not introduce, really. And there's a couple of very interesting, very helpful products that we've launched recently. So the first one that I want to talk about today is our security agent.
Yep.
So that's one that we've been working on a lot. The team has been cooking. It is basically a background agent that you can run continuously to help you monitor your security posture. Meaning, for example, here you can see kind of what the UI looks like. It helps you to do a deep scan to help analyze maybe what type of exploitable vulnerabilities you have that could be chained together to an attack. It helps you understand whether you have static C triggers, of course, what your like vulnerabilities that your dependencies also introduce, and understand your software bill of materials that you have there. Yeah,
super interesting. We were running this at GopherCon last week in Portland or Seattle. I don't know. I've traveled too much. I think it was Seattle, Portland. I don't know. Seattle. Yeah, Chain React, Portland, Seattle GopherCon. And we had a ton of open source maintainers coming to us and chatting. Like, we organized a meetup, and we run the security agent on the repositories. We did find sometimes like things like they committed keys like a couple of like weeks, months, years ago, and the keys are still part of like the Git tree. So I think what this allows you is to probably continue to ship faster and having this extra layer of security that is protecting these type of like things to continue being out there. But just like CodeRabbit code reviews, there's a ton of stuff that you're not familiar with about your code base. Now, even more visible with coding agents taking a lot of the coding workflows, and having this extra security layer of being able to ship fast and then ask CodeRabbit to perform like security review before you ship, really has allowed like a ton of our users and like these open source projects that we have reviewing at the time to learn if there's anything that they are exposing also like their users to. A lot of these open source repos are a dependency for other people to continue to build, and just securing that whole like code trace of different dependencies helps us have probably a little bit of more security in the overall ecosystem. Really recommend people to check it out. I think it's really hard to put into words how good it is in finding things that I never suspected. And we always get this aha moment with like open source maintainers and people who come to our booths at events where they were not aware and they were a little bit concerned whenever we find like critical security vulnerabilities in their code base.
Yeah, and we have to be clear here as well. Of course, CodeRabbit review already looks for security vulnerabilities inside of your PRs, right? This product itself is in addition to that. First of all, of course, to understand what kind of zero-day vulnerabilities you might already have in your code base that will naturally not be picked up by a pull request. But then also to run a more long-running kind of background agentic review that really does a whole bunch of things. It maps out your code base, trying to understand the trust boundaries, and basically a much more token intensive process that obviously needs a different type of infrastructure and thinking behind it. That's why we formed it into a different product, and that's where it gets really interesting, I think. Yeah, I'm gonna walk you a little bit through the UI just here, so you can kind of see here the AI deep scan, for example, that I let run here over some popular repositories as well. I think I got one that people might know as well. Like, for example, I think I had Swift here as well. Oh, not on this account. All right. You can kind of see what it's liking. So it really puts together the entry point, then it goes all the way through the chain and as well all the way onto the sink. So kind of trying to understand things that normally maybe a static analysis tool would not be able to catch, because there are different parts of exploits that need to be chained together in order to really become dangerous. And then obviously in good CodeRabbit fashion, you can fix with AI, and that will then open a pull request for you to address that vulnerability. But yeah, that's product number one. So that's really massive. People should definitely check that out. And then the other one that we have that I'm also very, very excited about is called Triage, and that's a really, really cool product that we built in order to help maintainers and authors understand how many PRs do I currently have open that really need my attention. So what you see here is a little bit like a canvas board, right? That you can look at to understand what are the PRs that I have open, and then CodeRabbit helps you to sort these through different priorities based on different criteria that we have built based on our experience that we have with evaluating PRs to help you understand, hey, which one of these, do actually need my human attention before they're merged. Yeah.
Yep. And something important to consider is when we were working in this like large open source project, something that is hard is knowing what do I need to put my attention into.
Yeah.
There's hundreds of like PRs. If you have maintained a project, please like reach out to us. We'd love to help. Yeah. But it's hard to know when a PR is ready. Normally you can have like tags or different labels, but you need to keep yourself like tracking all of these pieces individually. What I like about the triage that we currently have or inbox is super interesting how it helps you understand like what's the status of each of the PRs without you needing to remember all of it. So there's things that happen when you're asleep. There's like a ton of new PRs that are going to hit your repositories, and being able to wake up and be like, okay, this is like ready to be like merged. CodeRabbit has like validated the status, and it's just like a simple, hey, I can review it on change stack and submit it. Great. There's other pieces where it's like, hey, it needs like extra work, or it also adds like a category. It's like, hey, still like work in progress. That is great for any maintainer that if you get like a considerable volume of PRs and changes, I think it's a great way for you to rapidly respond to kind of like some really good contributors as well. Like you don't want to have awesome developers that want to contribute waiting for your code review. So it helps kind of like as people become more familiar with your code base, move them faster into production and make those contributions work. I got at that time like a ton of messages from people being like,
Yeah.
when are you going to review my PR? It's like, it's not ready yet. Like, I think
Yeah.
CodeRabbit takes a lot of that work, but also it's great to be able to be faster responding to the pieces of code or the PRs that are ready to be merged.
I agree. And once you're there, then you can use ChangeStack, which is another product that we built and recently released. Perfect bridge over to help you go through and understand better what exactly changed. So instead of having this traditional view that we always had when you look at GitHub PRs, where you have like a alphabetical ordering, you go through file by file, trying to put the pieces together. ChangeStack allows you to look at it as a layered view and try to understand much more better with summaries, with an agent chat, and then of course with the CodeRabbit comments and additions, what is actually going on in that piece. Yeah,
which is super important now, where coding agents can do hundreds or thousands of lines of code for changes. So, whoa. If we can have like this, when we have hundreds and thousands of lines change, especially in the view that GitHub offers currently, it's really hard for us to like track all the changes. I do like the simplicity, but as I move around my PRs, sometimes it can be hard to track which files were modified, what's the relation between a file in place A and another function in file B, how do they relate, and being able to have these different functional layers of what's the story behind a PR and the intention with these changes really helps out for you to keep understanding your code base. And I think right now, as we move faster, I think understanding code bases is going to become more expensive for you as a developer. So having mechanisms that allow you to do that faster is going to be more and more important.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Last but not least, maybe you want to talk a little bit about the CLI as well and the work that we've done there and the importance that it has become. Yeah.
Okay, CLI is one of my favorite things. I believe coding agents are getting so good, or will get very, very good at a point where all of the things you won't need to see them, but connecting these different like tools, like your coding agent, and then something like the CodeRabbit CLI, to have some sort of conversation between each other about the changes and what needs to be improved, is going to become, I would say, the standard. My bet is things like CLIs are going to become the default way of doing code reviews, just because like you won't need these big interfaces.
Yeah.
As we're shipping faster, more code, that needs reliability, security, all of these different pieces. The CLI has changed a ton. First of all, we're integrating to a ton of coding agents. Before, the CLI was like a product that lived on its own. You have your terminal. It requires you to have a ton of like intentionality behind using it. You need to understand like the features and everything that we had on it. And we realized that one of our best users are coding agents. Like agents can gather the context and understand the tool very easily, and then use it effectively, so that whatever you're kind of like thinking of performing a code review on, and you want to make the most out of like tools like CodeRabbit, your coding agent has the context to do that. At the point where I think like 2 months ago, coding agents became the #1 user of the CodeRabbit CLI. Like right now, people who are running it, particularly like in things like Claude, OpenAI, and coming up next week. I mean, it's already out there, but like the Cursor plugin as well, you're able to have it. And some of the interesting workflows that we see is people who are making changes in the behavior of their agent. So the agent gets ready to commit. Whenever the agent thinks it can commit changes, it will perform a CodeRabbit review. It will review, interact with the coding agent, do a back and forward, and until the PR is kind of clean or the commit is clean, they push that into like a PR on GitHub. So saving you a lot of time. I think for me, what is really cool is being able to not have to change context to make these code reviews, because it's great that we have CodeRabbit on pull request. I think that's still a very valuable point. But if you can do changes and talk to your agent and then get that code review and feedback in the same agent session, super valuable. I think that is my favorite piece. And the last thing that I've seen with CodeRabbit is just CodeRabbit chatting with my agent.
Yeah.
And like being adversarial against each other.
Mm-hmm.
Incredible. Like the things that these agents are discussing, and it's interesting because 2 months ago CodeRabbit was very like, you're absolutely right, we need to like ignore this,
Yeah.
and now CodeRabbit is like, yo, like wait, like this is actually important.
Yeah, I agree. It's become so much better. I think the speed is one thing that is going to be key for people to use it really in their development workflows, as these agents iterate faster and faster. With that, I think now we have to come to a close a little bit earlier than we expected, but we're going to be kicked out of our studio because Harjot, our beloved CEO, he's going to be live here on the TBPN podcast in 30 minutes. So yeah, please hang on to the line.
By the way, it's important is like if you want to hear the story from the person behind CodeRabbit, TBPN News, I would say probably like in 20 minutes, 30 minutes,
Exactly.
Harjot is going to be live talking about where CodeRabbit was, where it is, where it's going, the story behind the Series C announcement, and everything you need to know of the future of coding agents, code review, and how the industry is evolving. So highly recommend taking a look into it, learning more about the thoughts from the Chief Rabbit, and
Chief Rabbit Officer.
The Chief Rabbit Officer.
Yeah.
And you know, like we are live every week on Wednesdays in our Discord. I think we're gonna try to do these live streams.
Yeah, we're gonna probably still please join our Discord community. We're gonna stream this live on X and LinkedIn and all the other beautiful platforms. But questions will be answered on Discord, and you'll be able also to speak with us and join the session on Discord. So hope to see you there soon. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you all. Have a good one. Take care. Bye-bye.